going on, guys? Openhand here. Past few days I've been pretty sick, so I've been playing tons of Lords of the Fallen, and I figured I'd go ahead and show you guys what kind of build I came up with here. Now I want to do something a little bit different than what other people have been doing. Everyone's pretty much been using Pieda's sword right now because it's extremely OP, so I figured I'd go a different route and hopefully have something that survives at least a few patches here. Now the idea of this build was to go for a strength build and do as much damage as I can, but as you can see I'm using the kind of claymore sword here. I'm not using like a grand weapon, and that's purely preference, which I'll get into, but I just like the faster moveset with this sword compared to like the grand weapons and stuff. But the idea was to pump as much physical damage as I can get with just a pure physical build and be super tanky and take advantage of the auras in this game, which is really strong right now. So without further ado, let's get into it here. As you can see on the left, I am level 120 right now, which is probably where I'm going to stay just for PvP purposes. I haven't done any PvP yet, but I'm sure I will in the future. So 120 I'll probably stay at. As far as stats go, I got 75 strength because that seems to be the hard cap on strength here. And again, I decided to go full just physical strength kind of build here. And a lot of the reason that I wanted to invest so much in strength is because it also boosts your physical defense. So as usual, I try to get as much bang for my buck as I can in my builds. So having 75 strength gives me a lot of extra physical defense. After that, I got 8 agility, 20 endurance because that's the soft cap on endurance. I mean, and you really don't need too much endurance in this game, in my opinion, just because, you know, regenerates at an okay rate and everything like that. After that, 40 vitality, because that, again, is another like soft cap for vitality, and I feel like at 40, I think you end up with like 800 HP or something like that, which is plenty. And lastly, which again might be a little odd, but I went 22 in the radiance, and that is purely for the auras, because the auras in this game, like I said, are just so damn good. So, and since we're only investing in strength, we actually had the points, like the stat spread here is like actually perfect, and it's kind of worked out this way. Like level 120 was what I was aiming for, and I'm able to hit everything that I wanted. You know, 40 vitality, 22 radiance, you know, 20 endurance, 75 strength. Everything's kind of worked perfectly here. And I think my starting class was a Hollowed Knight, which is probably a lot of people's starting class. So if you want to, you know, do this build, you can have a stat spread like this at 120, which is really nice. As far as gear goes, I'm using the Crimson Rector Sword plus 10 here. Again, I wanted to find something that would scale only with strength because that's all I wanted to invest in. So I got a B+ scaling with strength here, and you can see the attack power of this weapon is 590, but with my gear and stuff, it becomes, and runes and stuff, which I'll get into in a second, becomes quite a bit better. After that, I'm using the White Reaper Shield plus 5. The reason that I picked this was essentially just the rune slots that were available for it. It has, I think, 2 Inferno and 1 All Rune right now. And the ideal situation would be, there's a rune that helps you regenerate mana that you can only get 1 per playthrough. And I haven't quite finished the game yet, I'm like at the final area. But once I get to like New Game Plus and start, you know, doing a couple extra, you know, runs and stuff like that, I'm going to change this shield out for the Sanctified Hunter Shield and just slot in 3 of the mana regen runes. That way I can constantly have up both my auras, theoretically, I think, the whole time. But right now, I mean, as far as the best I can do here is a Light Reaper Shield, and the other 2 sockets that I'm using increase my physical defense, which I will show you in a minute here. After that, a best challenge, just because it's the best one I could find. I know there's a really good one that you can get from the kind of cleric NPC guy if you complete his quest line, but I have not done that yet. So right now I'm using this. You got, you know, 5 spell slots, pretty good scaling and stuff like that. So you know, it's fine. And again, I'm not really worried about damage with Radiance. I'm literally using Radiance just for the auras. Obviously, I have stuff like Piercing Light just so I can hit range a little bit. And Radiant Weapon as well, just because it's available and it does increase my damage a little bit. So I figured why not, since I'm already investing, you know, 22 in the Radiance. And again, 22 in Radiance so I get the Invigorating Aura effect, which heals you over time. So, I guess actually as far as spells go, Piercing Light I'm just using. Sanctified, I literally don't have another Radiant spell to sock it, so I just threw this on right now. I'd probably change it out if I find something a little bit better. Invigorating Aura, again, just right now is insane. You heal for so much. And with the mana regeneration ring, which I have, and the socketed rune in my shield, you can actually keep this aura up for a very, very long time. Especially if you're, I mean, you can keep it up indefinitely if you are using mana stone clusters and stuff like that. So, but again, the goal, the end-game goal of this is to get the 3 mana runes in my shield. That way I don't have to worry about ever having to, use any kind of mana stones like that. But that's a bit ways down the road. I'm going to have to, farm out new games and stuff like that to get those runes. But after that, Aura Tenacity. This is insane, Aura 2. It reduces damage by quite a bit. It seems like it's probably about 25% or something like that. And since we already have so much physical defense, it just makes it that much better. So again, the in-game goal is to have both these active at the same time and have no or very little mana loss. So I'll just be an absolute tank running around killing everything, more so than I am now. And again, Radiant Weapon, lastly, just for a little bit more extra damage. Now, again, I went heavy in the strength, and a lot of the reason that I wanted to do the strength thing was because it gives me a lot more physical defense. So, of course, for my armor, I decided to go as heavy as I can get, pretty much. I mean, Tancred's helm, I mean, there's heavier stuff, but I can't stand the look of this stuff. And I think my equipment is actually, yeah, like it's right under 108, so it just kind of works out this way. That I can use Tancred's helm, which looks a lot better than this other stuff, in my opinion. And then everything else is literally the heaviest you can get. It's all Tancred stuff. So you can see here, my physical defense is 1457, which is very, very high. I'll go fight something in a little bit and kind of show you, how tanky I am and stuff like that, with and without the auras and stuff like that. So after that, I went Warrior's Claw. This increases your physical damage and your physical defense. Now, it's really hard to find particular numbers at this point, but I'm pretty sure it increases your physical damage by 10% and your physical defense by 10%. So this is a huge buff since we're purely, physical build. So it's kind of a no-brainer for a build like this. Excuse me. After that, Mana Stone Ring. Again, just trying to keep up some of that mana regen. From what I've read, if you get another Mana Stone Ring in New Game Plus, it does not stack. So you can only have one of these, which is fine. Because the next ring that I'm using is the Lucent Sword Ring, which you deal additional damage when your health is at full or almost full, but it's actually when it's full. I don't know. It's probably a bug right now. Hopefully they patch it and like you can have a little bit of health missing to be able to take advantage of this ring. But generally speaking, this ring's probably really bad, just because if you get hit, you're screwed. But since we are running Invigorating Aura and the heal rate on this is just so high, you're going to be at max health a lot. And since you don't take nearly as much damage as most people would, because you have so much physical defense, which is by far probably the most important defensive stat in the game, you're going to heal max health a lot quicker. So it's very, very good in this build. Again, I'll show numbers and all that stuff in a minute here. So I guess next, quick access items, whatever. I would recommend having some mana clusters on hand just to be able to keep up your mana when you have the auras up. Now, right now, I can really only afford to run Invigorating Aura by itself. I can't really take advantage of Aura Tenacity comboed for a very long time. Like, if I'm going to go fight a boss or something, then I'll throw them both on. And I'll obviously have to use quite a few mana stones, but as far as just running around the world, I generally only have Invigorating Aura on, which is fine. But again, once I get those mana runes, I should be able to have both these up for almost indefinitely. I mean, and if not, like, again, a mana stone here and there is not going to be bad, so it should work out pretty good here. Let's see here. I just like to show you my runes. I don't really know an easy way to do this. I guess I'll just go to the blacksmith and go to what I have socketed in here. Alright, so socket runes. Grab the Rector Sword. I'm using Gravix, which I'm two-handing my weapon. Oh, and I guess something important to point out, too, in my equipment is that I don't meet the requirements for Light Reaper Shield because I don't have Inferno. But it doesn't seem to matter at all because I still get the benefits from the runes. So I'm solely using this just for the rune sockets because I'm going to two-hand my sword. And it just had the right rune set up and it was light. So for the runes here, I'm using Gravix, which increases your physical damage when you're two-handing a weapon. for some reason this sword has a radiant slot, which is awful. I mean, literally nothing I have right now is even worth putting in here, but I just threw this in for shits and gigs. Like, I guess maybe with radiant weapon it might help a little bit, like a little bit more smite buildup. I'm not even sure, but there's literally nothing to put in here. Now, if I get a 4th mana rune, I can put it in here and get some mana on kill, which I guess would be nice, but this is just an absolutely abysmal spot to have for a weapon like this. It seems like that's the case with a lot of weapons, actually, where they just have like a rune slot where you're just like, what the hell was this? But I just threw this in here for, again, no real reason. But we do have another strength slot, which is great, and using graphics again for the increased damage while two-handing. Now, I have tried other runes like Ative here, increases strength scaling, but you get way more damage slotting in graphics than you would getting the increased strength scaling stuff. A lot of runes and stuff I find are kind of weird in this game. There's numbers are still being figured out and everything, and like it seems like earlier runes that you get are a lot worse than ones that you seem to get later in the game. So graphics is just severely better than any kind of scaling rune, from what I can tell. So that's what I have socketed there. Now for my shield, I have 2 Belago socketed and the Narton rune, which is the mana regen rune that you can only get one per playthrough. Now, kind of like what I was talking about before, there is another rune that says the exact same thing as Belago, increases physical defense, but it is severely worse. It increases it by 10. Belago, I'm pretty sure, increases your physical defense by 10%. So this is so much better as far as tanking goes in the strength one. Again, it's just, you got to play around with these runes and kind of look at the numbers and stuff, but you know, they say the exact same thing, but this one's just severely better. So again, I want to be really tanky, so I decided to throw in, you know, 2 of these, which increases my armor by together, like it's over 200, so for my physical defense. So I figured I would use that, and again, as I think I showed you, I have, you know, 1457 physical defense right now. So lastly, I guess I'll go show you some DPS and just tanking and like kind of how the build works. I don't really know where to go. I'll just go to let's go to the Bell Ring. This guy's pretty fun to fight just because it's very convenient, very easy to reset. Alright, first off I'll show you with no buffs. I want to hit him a little bit so you can see how much, you know, defense. This is no buffs. See, I mean, this barely any damage when he hits me with that. Obviously his head hurts a lot more. But yeah, I mean, you can see the defense is pretty good here. Now, as far as the damage, 973 per hit non-buffed. Wait, hold on. Oh, that's because, okay, never mind. It's because I took damage, obviously. Okay. Let me show you with the ring active. I was like, hold on, that is way lower than it normally is. But again, since we have invigorating aura on, generally, like, we will heal, we'll have a lot more health. Let me just hit him at full health here. See, 912 there, when you have the ring active, so it's pretty good there. Let me show you, I guess I'll throw on the, you know, lightning weapon or whatever. And when I have that equipped, it's pretty close to 1,000 damage, which is nice. Let me, I'll throw on invigorating aura as well, just so you can see how, I mean, it's pretty slow, the mana drain here. Like, you have a lot of time that you can just run around the world. If you have the rune and the ring on, like, you're not going to be really too worried about having to replace your mana for a while. I don't know how long you get exactly, but it's probably good like 5 minutes or longer. I don't know. But okay, I'll show you the damage with the sword here. That was a running attack, that doesn't count. See, I'm already at full health again. Yeah, see, 986 there. So very close to 1,000. I'm just gonna go fight some of their stuff real quick. Go to a little bit of a later game area. And I'll just kind of show you what, like, I'm actually going to run around. I'll just show you what I do. I mean, it's essentially what I showed you, but I'll throw this on, invigorating aura, and I'll throw on lightning blade, just again. And I'll just run around and kill stuff. And again, if there's a boss, then I might throw on the other aura. For this kind of weapon, I mean, it does a lot of damage. So. You can see like the health regen, it's pretty quick. Alright. Now, if you want, instead of running something like the Crimson Rector Sword, which I run because, again, I like being able to tackle it quicker. I think the Grand Weapons are a little bit slow for my kind of playstyle. I like being a little bit mobile and all that stuff. But you can use a Grand Weapon and you'll literally, obviously, do more physical damage per hit. But I just like the speed at which this weapon is compared to the Grand Weapon. It's just so much quicker. So, but again, I would just recommend if you're going to do this kind of build, do you know, something that scales primarily with strength, right? I think like there's an Angel Axe in this game that scales off strength, but it's like a, you know, Grand Axe or something like that. Maybe like a weapon like that would be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, if you want to try that out, I'm sure it would work just fine. Now you might need to actually use the rune from the blacksmith that you get later in the game after you've turned in all the tablets, which will cause a weapon's weight and requirements to be 0. That way you can wield it without being, you know, encumbered or whatever. So yeah, this is the build. You know, give it a shot. I think it's really fun. Again, I think it should survive at least a couple nerfs before they really start paying attention to auras. I know Pieda's sword just got nerfed about a day ago or something like that, but not very hard, so I'm sure they'll be back at it. But you know, if you want to try something a little bit different than what everybody else is running, very effective build, very strong. Having a blast with it. Try it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.